Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to cut in a side overflow sump. A few things to keep in mind is with the side overflows 100mm deep minimum, and the side overflow will be 25mm above box cutter height, and that is to the bottom of the overflow. But before we start cutting anything in, we need to go have a look at the sump, where it's going. Let's go. Here we've got our sump hole. The few things that we want to keep in mind before we start cutting in anything is the pop location. So we want to make sure that there's no timbers in the way that'll affect our sump pipe work, as well as the overflow chute as well. And we also want to have a look on the outside and see if there's any windows. If we're doing a rain head and a down pipe, we want to make sure that that is away from anything on the outside. All right, so now that we've checked out our sump hole, we can come back and start marking our sump. So as we saw, there were no timbers in the way, so we're fine to go directly in the guts. So we've marked that, and then we've got our overflow as well. And as we mentioned before, the bottom of the overflow is 25mm above the box cutter. And with this cutout as well, our overflow dimensions are 200 by 65. So our hole, we make it 5mm smaller. So instead of 200 by 65, we're 195 by 60. So now that we've cut our holes, what we've also done, so you can see there, the hole that we previously traced, you want to cut sort of about that 3 to 5mm on the inside of that and allow for that turn down. So with your any pliers that you've got, you just pretty much going all the way around the edge to that mark out that you've done, and that way water, when it sits on the top, we'll get to the edge and go straight into your pop. All right, so now that we've cut the holes, it's time to install the pop. So pretty straightforward, we'll just sit it over like we had it previously, and then pre-drill it. We want to make sure that we blow the swarf away, clean out anything that's there, and then we'll give it an underseal and rivet it back up. All right, so now we've got our hole cut, we've pre-drilled for our pop. Now we take away the pop, make sure that there's no swarf getting in the way, and now we'll start our underseal. So with our underseal, it'll be a nice thick ring, and we can put our pop in place. So when it comes to riveting, always put our rivets in from the inside of the sump, so not from here, from around the inside. And we need to make sure if there is any plastic on the inside that we peel it back, just so that we're not riveting through it. All right, so now we've got our pop riveted on. As you can see, we've got silicone oozing out around the outside as well as on the inside there. So what we want to do is make sure that we smooth that over with our finger on the inside as well as the outside, as well as the rivets on the inside of the sump. They'll need to be oversealed as well, but seeing as we will be creating more swarf when we rivet our box gutter together, it's best to leave that until afterwards, just so the swarf doesn't stick to the silicone. All right, so now that we've got our prep work done for our sump and our overflow, it's time to install. Beautiful. So now that it's in, a few things that we want to make sure of is that the sump is hard back to the parapet side, always. And also, we're going to be cutting down the upstand there. So with a marker, pencil, whatever you have, marking the back and cut that. All right, now that we've cut our upstand down, it's time to install the overflow. One thing to note about these overflows in particular is where it's been joined on the side. We want to make sure that this lip is facing down, just so if it was the other way, water can get trapped in there. And also from the inside, it's a chance of potentially leaking inside the wall cavity. So what I'm going to do is roll out the sump, just to make it a bit easier to access. We want the bottom to be flush with the bottom of your tag. And you want to just line up your hole nicely. What I like to do is just get a couple rivets in it just to pin it, then we'll roll it back in and level it from the outside. So as you can see, just pinned it with 2 rivets for now, and now we'll roll it back in. So now what we want to do is just double check that it's level from the outside. If it is out of level, you still have room to twist it because it's only pinned by 2 rivets. So once you find where you want it to sit, you can pull out, pre-drill the rest of it, and then undo the rivets. All right, so we've pinned it in place level. So now we just want to make sure our rivets are nice and straight and that they're even spacings. So on these, we've got a nice consistent line, making sure that our rivets line up. And on the sides, we'll put 2 in there as well. And just keeping in mind that our maximum rivet spacing is 40 mil. So we'll drill this out, take out our rivets, give it a good clean of all the swarf, under seal, and then rivet up again. All right, so now we've taken apart the chute. We've made sure that all the swarf is gone. As you can see, we've peeled the plastic again so that we're not riveting over it. And then what we're going to do is under seal our chute. So once again, we'll go nice generous line all the way around, especially making sure we get the corners. Okay, so now we've got it all under sealed, we're good to put it on. Okay, so now we've got our overflow all sealed up, and it's a similar process with the pop. You can see all the silicone oozing out. What we want to do is neaten that up and smooth that over. Okay, so now that we've smoothed it over with our fingers, you'll also notice there's no silicone on the rivet heads yet, and that's for the same reason, is that we're going to create more swarf. So you just want to avoid any swarf sticking to the silicone. And another thing to keep in mind, each supplier will make sumps and material differently. So you can see on this one, none of the sump is actually sealed. So it's always worth checking over the material, have a look if it needs to be sealed, and if so, we'll do that as well. But also just keep in mind, if we're creating more swarf, just do it at the right time. So now our sump is in. A couple more things that we need to take note of. As soon as we install the sump, we need to make sure that we do our sump pipe work the same day. And that is so that we can get all the water away from the building. And the other thing to add is that with our overflow, once these walls are finished, the overflow will be sticking out past the wall by 30 mil. So we'll cut that back nice and neat and we'll turn it down. All right, so now we've finished our sump installation. So that's one stage over. The next stage will be to install our box cutter.